my last webinar was actually about just paid media for more players in general. So this kind of follows on from that, or is linked on from that a little bit, but it's more about actioning marketing of the Battle Pass. So there's obviously many different platforms, and there's lots of other elements you can do, as you can see here on this image. I'm not going to go into earned media, although PR companies would be great for things like reviews, getting that out to creators. And owned media, obviously, posting to socials should be the default, and having a website where people can find information on the game and the Battle Pass as well. Email collection, I don't see as much from a developer standpoint, but do see it from publishers, especially when they have sales, which they'll often link their sales to events within Steam or Epic and things like that. So today is how to utilize paid media for your Battle Pass. So paid media is obviously anything where you're paying to reach people that you just don't have access to otherwise. So just quickly, what makes a good Battle Pass? Here at Fundamentally Games, we think the best Battle Passes offer a combination of just high quality and unique cosmetics. So this is something that really makes you as a player stand out amongst other players. It's a reason to kind of show off your skin. It's a good way to kind of show how good you are at the game, or at least how many hours you've put in. And it's pretty obvious for older players and newer players that you've obviously put the time in and put the effort in and got the skills. Obviously, I'm using Siege here as a default, as this default image. That's a game that I play a lot of. I have one of those skins. And yeah, in game, people have noted that skin is rare, and it is a nice feeling when that's clocked, especially when you obviously get some some good kills with it as well. But completing the Battle Pass obviously gets you the rarest of cosmetic, in-game items, and hopefully, if you offer a premium currency along the way in the Battle Pass, you unlock premium currency which can help you unlock the next season. We see that in Rainbow Six Siege, actually, and a couple of other games where as you're climbing up through the Battle Pass, playing through that season, you get the premium currency, and if you make it far enough, the premium currency just about pays for the next season's pass. So that's quite an incentive to play, because once you pay once, technically you might not have to pay again unless there's something that you really specifically want that you might not be able to grind for that season. Obviously, there are technically cons of a Battle Pass, but I want to focus on the pros, because at Fundamentally Games and Jetpack Collective, we are for the players. We are putting the players first. We're trying to make it fair. And the pros for players, for invested players for a Battle Pass are, you'd be silly to not get involved really with the community and to get involved with those cosmetics and to earn those items. It's great for things like if you've got a 3 or 5 man squad, and you all have the same color skins, same color weapon skins, same color swords, things like that. It's a great kind of way to show you're here and you're not here to mess around. And that just makes players feel a bit more involved in the game and in the community. And from a competitive standpoint, it can seem intimidating. I know when I join a server with some friends and we all have the same or similar name, same weapon color skin and things like that, we get comments made at us straight away, and hopefully we do well and those comments don't come back to bite us in the bum. But premium lanes within the Battle Passes offer the most value in game. So for example, I did buy a season pass for, sorry, a battle pass for Fortnite a couple of seasons ago. However, I just didn't have the time to put in, and it was a bit of a waste. And I didn't unlock the skin that if I'd put 30 hours in that month, I really wanted, and I had to go and buy that skin after a few months later after the season was over, and it cost me about twice as much as the battle pass did, which was pretty killer. And just the final kind of pro of battle pass is, again, it's getting people coming back and playing the game daily, weekly, getting involved in challenges, getting involved in the community, and making sure that they have those rewards ahead of the next season. It's quite nice when a new season starts, and you and your friends, or just even randoms that you might be paired up with, you have the top tier skins for your character or your weapons or your deck, and it's quite a nice feeling to start fresh the next season with such a high ranking skins from the previous season. So in terms of marketing the battle pass, first thing really is knowing your audience. So one of the best audiences you can really use is your first party data. So first party data is basically anything that you have access to. So whether that's your social media pages, your website if you have tracking pixel on, your YouTube channel, people that have viewed videos or subscribed to you, your Instagram profile or your Twitter profile, basically anyone that has engaged or followed or subscribed or watched anything of your IPs from your IP's social media accounts is targetable. So here you can see I can reach anyone that has engaged with any post or any ad in the last year from our page. And likewise here on the Jetpack Collective website, I can target anyone that's visited the website in the last 6 months. So this is data where people have clearly expressed an interest in the game. They either follow the game, they probably participate in the game, and they might not be able to, they could have missed any organic posts or any Discord posts that were alerting them of the upcoming Battle Pass release. So targeting first-party data is basically the best way to ensure that people you already have involved and engaged are reached with your ads. It does vary slightly per platform. Different platforms call it slightly different things in terms of engagements, but it achieves the same outcome nonetheless. So with your first party data, you can start to build affinity and lookalike audiences. So what this is say there are people that on paper should like Battlefield 2042, but for some reason they haven't heard of the game, or they are not up to date with, they don't check social media often, or they don't visit gaming YouTube channels too often, but they visit other things that the platforms would consider that person might be interested in your product or your game. So with a high indexing lookalike audience, let's say the average Battlefield 2042 player is a 34-year-old male Bristol who likes first-person shooter games. If that person doesn't already follow EA, DICE, or Battlefield IPs on social media, but they like everything else that most of those people that do follow that game on social media or different accounts do, then they'll fall into this group. This is usually a great way of finding basically people that probably already have heard of the game but just haven't had a chance to check it out yet, or haven't had the time. And it's a really good way of reaching those people. You can go as wide or as narrow as you want. So the wider you go, the less likely you are to have as many interests. So if I went as far as 10%, that person might also like deck building games. They might like hack and slash games. It might not be as relevant to them, but technically they would still, the game would still appeal to them. And also, depending on the platform, lookalike audiences can be based off things that you might have Googled previously or searched on YouTube. So you could have searched for a specific streamer or content creator on YouTube, and they might have had one Battlefield 2042 video, which, given that they've watched content from that streamer before but might not have watched that video yet, you're able to reach them and serve them ads as well. With most of the platforms, you can target with demographics. So here I can target someone that's recently moved house, has a, and that includes things like permanent new IP address within apps that you use or within the websites that you log into, as well as obviously taking an interest in things like removal companies and things like that. I've just used that here because it's just an example of how sophisticated you can go. But it's great because effectively you can target by age. If you have a game that is predominantly younger crowd, maybe say Fortnite, although that is growing, you can target as young as 16, maybe even 13 in some cases, depending on the content. And as old as, I think most platforms stop at 65 plus because it gets quite difficult to differentiate after that. But effectively, you're able to have multiple different groups and groupings of how you want to reach these people. So let's say you've put the price of your battle pass up this month, and the younger audience just hasn't engaged with the ads as well. You could just make a separate audience full of men and women, slightly older, maybe over earning a certain amount. Each platform has slightly different ways that it's worded, but yeah, you can pick by household income and things like that as well. So the most obvious one is interest in keywords. So Call of Duty and Call of Duty Mobile, they have huge battle pass reveals. And not only do they have huge first-party audiences, because of the nature of the IP and the longevity of the IP, they can target fans of Raven Software, Infinity Ward, Activision, Blizzard, and then the Call of Duty pages themselves. On top of that, these pages actually can show up as an interest on something. So, there might be there might be a YouTube channel called Best Warzone Wins, or there might be a Twitter account called Best Call of Duty Kill Compilations, and they might just be dedicated to posting that type of content, but it falls under an interest on the majority of platforms. So you can target the entire back catalogue, or just keywords Call of Duty. So if anyone has any interest in that specific game, you can. So if your game and your battle pass coming out has fantasy elements, you can look to target World of Warcraft and elements like that. And it's quite easy to do. So with audiences, I'd highly recommend testing. So there are a few different types of testing, but the main one is A/B, and sometimes you can even go as far as C and D split testing as well. So if you're releasing a battle pass and maybe the lore from this season is a bit more in depth, you might lose some of the more casual players. With that, you can try different audiences. You could try people that have been engaged with the page for a year. You could try people that have only been engaged with the page for 2 to 3 weeks. You could just target against people that have only watched videos in the last 6 months or videos in the last 12 months, and you could split them against each other. And most platforms have a system that allows the best performing one to just automatically win and take the rest of the budget. However, you can also do this manually across most of the platforms. Again, with testing, I personally don't believe in making audiences too wide. I'd rather hit a slightly larger number of fewer interests, but a lot of people will just tend to go into the interest-based targeting and type in, 15 different similar games to theirs, similar titles and things like that, and you'll only reach a small percentage of each one of those. It could be best to group those games by genre, by country of origin, things like that. So you could have 3 or 4 fantasy games in one group, 3 or 4 FPS games in another group, 3 or 4 RTS games or RPG games in another group, and the best performing one between those, the worst performing ones you can switch off, and then you can just focus on the best performing ones. And the thing with testing is that it just enables you to be a bit more effective with budgets. Obviously, you can split down by age and gender as well. So you could do 18 to 24, then 25 to 34, and see what performs better. So this is kind of a bit general marketing, but I will relate this to Battle Pass marketing. So funnels. The top of the funnel is basically the awareness level. This is you getting people aware of the game, or that the Battle Pass is coming out for the game. Realistically, you want to have people join you want to have people join at the top, and if they how do I word this? You kind of want to have people to take a punt on the game after just recently discovering it and potentially buying the Battle Pass within that same session. If the imagery, the lore, the cosmetics looks good enough, it's quite easy for you to get that conversion in that first or second play session. But that awareness level is quite important. That's the first impression that most people will get of the game, or of the Battle Pass. So it's important that you're creative and your messaging is great for that, and I'll get onto that later on. So towards the middle of the funnel is the consideration level. So that's lookalike audiences and your first party data. So this is people that are already engaged with your socials, already playing your game, already part of your community, and this is getting them to commit to the next season. This is getting them to consider purchasing the Battle Pass. You need to keep those players engaged with slightly different content that would be used to raise awareness of the game and the new Battle Pass or the new season release. Obviously, that can be linked to advocacy as well, because it's great to have players that are already playing your game, talking positively, tagging friends, being like, "Hey, there's a new season coming out. I think you should get involved with this new season. Get in with the Battle Pass with us, and we can all have matching skins together." It's that level there, but it is linked with the advocacy side. But it's your chance to grab those newly aware people of your game, if they're on the fence about getting involved and investing in time and money into it. So the bottom of the funnel is where you need the players to convert. This is, majority of games that have Battle Passes are free to play. If they've got 10, 15 hours in, they're definitely to convert to becoming paid members of the free-to-play community. Arguably, you could even argue less. It depends on the game. It depends on the different lanes that your Battle Pass has. Obviously, predominantly, most of them have a free lane and then a premium lane with more exciting cosmetic items. But the conversion aspect requires you to really leverage your content to convert those prospecting players into paid members of the community. So this will be like really final messaging. This could be end of the month, start of the month timescales where people have just been paid and you're pushing them to convert to start the new season with everyone else. This messaging is obviously a hell of a lot different from awareness messaging, where you're just trying to get people in to play the game and test it first. But I'll get into messaging later. And then, yeah, loyalty within the game, the community, enables you to utilize the trust. And having repeat Battle Pass purchases is obviously fantastic for you as a developer and publisher, but it's also great for the community, because if I log into Fortnite, I have an array of skins, and now I just have it set to random. So every time I drop in, my main character is, has different elements every time. And I really like that aspect, because I've got lots of different things that I can show off, and I'm really happy. Like, although I would say maybe Fortnite doesn't necessarily have a traditional community because it's such a large game, I feel very kind of proud to be a part of that, and that leads to advocacy, where I am regularly going to tell friends the things that I've got. I want them to look at what I've got, log in and do daily challenges and things like that. Maybe not on Fortnite, but on Battlefield and things like that, I'll definitely be considering posting in the group chat to get friends to join, and to try and invite new people as well, and get them involved if the squad starts to thin out a little bit on during the week. But fear of missing out is obviously a fantastic tool that comes from your players. We're currently, there's a few of us trying to grind to a set skin because we think it would be really cool to look like that in the next season, and that's making everyone work hard, and that's making everyone talk about it and positively, and obviously telling the wider group that, oh, we should all get involved with this. So creatives and placements. With your creatives, it's the first impression that people have of the Battle Pass. So if they're new to the game, this really needs to highlight how unique you can make the game, and how unique your player or your avatar or your deck or whatever the model is for the game really needs to highlight how unique you can be. It's the first impression that new players get, and you usually only get one first impression. So, I mean, look here at this image from Fortnite. It's very highly detailed. There's characters ranging from animals to anime characters, characters from other games, other universes. Obviously, Fortnite's a bit of an exception, but it is, right away I can see that there is a high level of customization available. And, that effectively enables me to be who I want to be online in this game. And that's the main reason a lot of people engage with these communities in free-to-play games. So it's important to have your creatives extremely high quality, whether that's images and video. And obviously, it's important to highlight that there is something for everyone, whether they're competitive or whether they're into their story elements of the game. So outside of the game, your paid media needs to fit and make use of the platform. So each platform has slightly different sizings and different abilities. Here, I've got a couple of examples of how images can look. Didn't have time to kind of mock up Battle Pass related images, but you have a lot of space. So for this image here, you could have 3 different items on a carousel. And that would be great to kind of highlight just some of the items that the Battle Pass could offer. And then you need different size images depending on placement as you go into desktop or mobile feed or the side corners, you can just focus on a smaller element. But as you go into mobile images, you can take up more of the screen. And you can split test different sizes, different creatives as well. Your creative on for paid media definitely needs a call to action. So a lot of platforms will embed a call to action for you. Some platforms you need to have a call to action to distinguish the fact that the creative is actually clickable. So this is an example of a Facebook ad where we're taking people to download the game. While the site says phageborn.com, we're actually sending them to Steam, and we'll have a UTM to be able to track that they're going there to download the game. And here, this was for people to try DLSS for a game that came out about 18 months ago. The call to action is for them to take them straight to the NVIDIA page to read more about what DLSS does for games and what it can do for you as a player. So obviously, not everyone will click on that image, but the call to action is there to encourage people to, the imagery is right there. It's, again, high quality, striking. It's great to have that combined with good calls to action. Obviously, your calls to action will vary depending on the funnel stage. So if you are trying to get people just to be aware of the game, then maybe sell the battle pass to them a few days, weeks later. You just want them to download the game. Whereas if you are looking to target people at that consideration and conversion level, you want to have download or purchase now or buy now. Even more custom calls to action, like top up your premium currency, things like that. Depends on the platform, but there's not really a limit in terms of what you can have. But it's important to have calls to action on your paid media. So with the creatives, the placements obviously really dictate your what your KPIs are. So if you want views, you can use video placements on multiple platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. They can be part of scrolling in your feed. They can be pre-roll, which is served just before the video you actually want to watch. I think if you were to have a video that highlights the battle pass and highlights multiple items, and the lore and any extra story elements that you want to try and get through in this new season, video is probably the best way to do that. You could serve that in front of other related games. But if you want clicks, to site, clicks to Steam, clicks to the latest season's patch notes, if you serve in different placements like feeds and stories, you're more likely to get that taking people off site, especially when it's served in between relevant content that they're already on. One of the things that I would look to do is if we wanted Steam installs, I would serve quite visually striking content on your to mobile viewers on Facebook and Instagram, so they could see the lore, they could see gameplay and items, and then I would retarget them. So anyone that has viewed those mobile videos, videos on one platform, I would, while they're on desktop, I would then serve them maybe the second half of that creative, where they're able to then load up Steam, open the game, and finish that purchase. And then with creatives and placements, it's obviously a fantastic chance to showcase the lore to new and existing players. It's how you tell those stories within the games. It's how you keep people coming back. And it's how you get that advocacy to get new people joining. Obviously, if your lore is really intricate, that could be off-putting for some, but sometimes off the back of that, the core gameplay mechanic could be by its nature quite competitive. So you'll get the two kinds of people. People that will want to grind the battle pass to have a flashy looking character or deck, weapon skin, and you'll have people that will take pride in the character that they've built or picked, and want to see it evolve, want to know more about that story, and it's potentially a reflection of them as a person as well. So timings and timeframes. So with marketing your battle pass, I see many seasons start all over the place. From a purely financial aspect, I think it makes sense to release your battle pass around the start of a month or the end of a previous month. So that enables you to catch people on their paydays. Having the release timed with the calendar month as well can make things easier to track in terms of your config, in terms of daily and weekly challenges. Some people, Monday after work, they might have had a bad day. They just want to log straight into the game and do the daily challenges. And they know that every Monday that's going to happen. And they know that at the end of the month, the monthly challenges will reset and the second part of that season will begin. But in terms of running ads, marketing to people around payday is obviously, can get quite competitive, but it's when people have the most money. So in order to kind of build excitement for your battle pass, and if you are looking to get people who started playing the game recently, I see a lot of trailers and hints and upcoming bug fixes and releases get released roughly 2.5 weeks before the season starts. So this will start highlighting new characters, new skins, new maps, new decks, what have you. And you'll start to see that kind of maybe the end of the first week or in the second week of the month, ahead of obviously that coming out towards the end of the month. I think it's important to have multiple trailers and multiple assets showcasing, because different elements will appeal to different people. Some people might be bored and want a new character to play, new avatar to look at. Other people might want to have a new map, a new arena. So it's definitely important to highlight all of the features that are coming next season, Battle Pass, but also to individually highlight those elements. And you could have an ad go out with 5 different creatives, one that's just focused on maps, one that's focused on skins, one that's focused on avatars or characters. And with that, you're kind of doing an A/B split test. You could have it so the best creative did win, but also you could serve those same creatives within that time frame, and appeal to people ahead of that battle pass coming out. This also obviously gets people to try and finish up their remaining tasks and to try and get people, finishing the existing battle pass and getting those higher tier unlocks. But yeah, running paid campaigns in the lead up to and over paydays I think is a must. It's just when people have the most money, and I think it's important to kind of highlight that the paid media is in tandem with your organic posts and your community posts. So reminders that a season is ending, a new season is about to start, or even you might be in your infancy and it might be your first season about to start. It's important to kind of highlight that from all aspects of social media and community marketing. And then highlighting daily and weekly challenges as well. So I'm not saying have a post every day saying don't forget to log in today and get 5 kills or use this gun or play this map. However, you can run and schedule paid media to only take part on specific days. So if I have a 3-month season, I could have a ad that starts at 7 a.m. and in local time to that user, and stops at 5 p.m. With just one impression every Monday saying, "Don't forget, weekly tasks have restarted." And just while people are scrolling on their feeds on their lunch or what have you, they'll be served one or two ads that remind them that this is they've got things to do in game. Serving that throughout the day, not throughout the evening. Hopefully they'll be playing. But you could schedule 3 months worth of Monday's posts within one campaign, which is great, obviously, for getting those repeat users weekly or even daily, depending on the type of game. So yeah, did anyone have any questions? I'm just going to minimize this and then get into the Discord. So there is here you go, webinar. So by making pretty much everything farmable in-game, including new seasons, we exchange profits for a larger audience who might buy stuff down the line. Yes, yeah, that is a long-term funnel, yeah. I mean, I guess it stops being a funnel because it's almost a cycle. The repeat seasons and the repeat advocacy and the repeat conversions, it's a hopefully maybe a quarterly thing. What about training existing users so they become your target audience to complete the Battle Pass? If you know 53% of players who complete Battle Pass do between 10 and 17 games a day, 74% do 3 different game mods, should you actively promote these behaviors for everyone that's not part of your target audience? So yes, that's effectively the utilizing the first party data. So one of the things that I want to do, and that a colleague has actually pulled the information up on, is things like most played items in a game, or most used items, most played characters, maybe damage done, those kinds of stats. Releasing that information into the community, putting that out on socials, and even running paid content with that is a great way to get that first party data involved in the game and playing more and increasing their game percentage. Is there any sweet spot for value that needs to be provided in Battle Pass, or more the merrier, so players should feel stupid for saying no? That's a good question and probably a bit out of my wheelhouse. That might be a Glyn or Oscar question. I mean, it's interesting because obviously for work and for pleasure, I play lots of different games with battle passes, and I stupidly spend money on them and don't finish them. And I think that's not an accurate reflection of the sweet spot for value, but I think keeping it under £10 is always a great start. And it's nice. It's nice to kind of have that incremental tier increase. So if I have bought a battle pass and then I go and play that game for 3 hours later that evening, it is nice to get a sense of accomplishment and to maybe reach level 10, things like that. However, obviously I've seen here you've got including stuff beyond the game, a good idea. I mean, yeah, that's a tough one because that would be quite hard to manage on a larger scale, like seasons, t-shirts and things like that. Obviously there's lots of ecological things that I think tech companies should be doing, as they do have large carbon footprints, but I'll leave my my eco warrior stuff out of this. Other question, what about ad block? A lot of users might just not get your notification through paid media. What about converting paid media into owned media? So yes, ad block is an issue. It's not the only issue. iOS 14 and Google are obviously changing the landscape, first and third party data. For marketers, that's obviously frustrating, but there are many other ways you can get around it. I think lookalike and interest-based targeting is going to be I think a lot of platforms are going to have to change their interest-based targeting to make it a little bit more refined. Currently, running ads on TikTok is quite difficult. You can't target by Call of Duty. You can only target by first-person shooters. However, its algorithm does make up for that. So organic content will tend to find people that have the relevant people more. And it's about utilizing that algorithm and the organic viewers more, which again, I guess, is your first party data, but it's different in app. Obviously, cross app targeting and marketing gets quite difficult. But there's a lot of systems that effectively have a profile of who you are. Google, whether you use Google as your main email address or just use it as a search engine and just maybe have a Hotmail account, Google has a profile of you. It knows a lot of what you're interested in, probably has a good crack at your age, even though you might have never entered your age into it. A lot of these, there's AI effectively building profiles of everyone. I think as that information gets more and more cut off with things like ad block and cookies being removed, I think interest-based targeting and algorithms are going to be what probably saves a lot of marketers. For value, I mean, £10 of money users need to pay, but value-wise, it's like £100 of goodies for the player. Sorry, that was in relation to the sweet spot value for Battle Pass. So earlier in the deck, I mentioned that I missed grinding my way up to get a certain skin that I really wanted. It's really sad. It was a Thanos skin from a few years ago, and it came back on the store, and it cost me 2.5 times the Battle Pass just to get it. And like a chump, I paid for it because I really wanted to look like Thanos in this game. For me, that value, I'm aware, a bit more self-aware about my spends and things, because obviously I'm day to day, I'm trying to get people to spend money in game. But when I'm not thinking about that, that is almost invaluable, because I am who I want to be in this game, where everyone can be whoever they want. It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but the value for me is a lot more, £15-20 than I paid for. I hope that answers everyone's questions.